What's going on, everyone? Between the Dots is live again today. We are live every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. on YouTube. Joined always by my good friends, Mr. Colin Kajowski and Rory Keith. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Yeah, doing all right. How are you doing, Fox?
I'm good. We got some good NHL action that happened last week. We had the Sens drop an unfortunate one to the Leafs last Thursday, which was unfortunate because now I owe Kijo a little Leafs Christmas present. But other than that, we're doing well. So, yeah, we're looking forward to chatting some hockey today.
What was your overall thought of that game, Felix, just quickly?
Yeah, that was a tough one. The Leafs had Joseph Woll stand on his head for a good portion of that game. So maybe a little bit of an undeserving 2 points for the Leafs there.
Oh.
In my, outshot, outplayed, just not outscored. So
not outplayed.
Credit to Joseph Woll there. And unfortunately, he went down with injury that game. So that was I actually don't like seeing that because I like seeing the best kind of competition out there at all times for even the Leafs, who I dislike.
Yeah, it's weird.
Dearly.
The Leafs scored first in that game, and the Sens had a bad second period. It's a shocker for them this year, eh?
Man, the Sens and second periods, it's like kryptonite, or I don't even know. It's just brutal. They are tied now for the most goals against in the second period, along with San Jose. So really good company to be in there. It's just the long change accompanied with they don't know how to keep possession of the puck and make smart changes, and it got them again last night when they were playing Carolina. So overall, tough week for the Sens, but Leafs have been rolling as of late.
Yeah, it was tough seeing Woll go down with that injury, but like you said, they've been doing really good. 6-1-3 in their last 10. So we saw them give up a couple nights ago on the John Tavares 1,000-point night. We'll get into that a little later, but they scored late to tie it and then gave up another point in overtime. And it's tough the way you look at it. You want to be winning as many games as you can, but if you score late and get it to overtime and you get yourself a point at the end of the year, those will mean a lot, but it'll also mean a lot when you don't get the extra point when you win. But they've been pretty good of late, and hopefully that continues.
Yeah, so we'll get into the Leafs a little bit more this episode. John Tavares having his 1,000 points scored this week, so good for him on that. First things first, I want to talk a little bit some coaching changes. So, Roy, you were saying earlier that Craig Berube fired from St. Louis. Is that right?
Yeah, I just saw that I don't know if that just happened after their game against the Wings last night, but they had a 4-game skid. And, I think St. Louis is right where we kind of expected them to be in the standings. So maybe they're just wanting a change of scenery. They see these other teams, Minnesota and Edmonton, turn it around after the coaching changes. So I guess maybe they're just hoping for a different voice.
Yeah.
Turn things around themselves.
I get that. That's smart, if you ask me. Clearly we're not going anywhere they weren't going anywhere with the coach they had. So why not shake it up? It's not a right that you have to keep that job as a head coach. You got to earn it. And second they kind of go on a skid, it's out the door. They're only 13, 14, and 1. So just one game below 500. It's not like anybody was expecting them to be in a playoff position right now. So it was a little surprising to see, but no, it's to me that just says other coaches should be on the hot seat as well too, if you ask me. So
It's coming back to the Sens. Like,
I was gonna say you got to
Here
coach
it comes.
folks.
Here it comes.
It's
One
coming.
coach in particular.
Here it
Well,
comes. Yeah.
DJ Smith, like he's one game under 500 himself. 5-5 in his last 10. It's just back and forth, mediocre hockey, same old, struggles in the second period, and I don't like what I see from them. So I feel like I've said for a few years now that they're going to need a coaching change if they want to get to the playoffs. And it's funny, like I had some friends saying like, oh, when Alfie was on the bench when we went to Sweden, 2-0. 2-0 with that change of voice on the bench. So you'd be surprised what a change in voice can do for a team, and I feel like Ottawa could use that as well.
I remember that year when, just like looping back to St. Louis, when they were in last place and they fired their coach and Berube took over, just interim for the year, I think. And then they ended up winning the cup. So that's how long ago it was when he took over. So sometimes the voice just fades, I guess, and doesn't mean as much after you'd think like after so many years like that, you'd think like he probably had a decent idea that he would have been on the hot seat, right?
Exactly. And like no knock on the guy. He might be a good coach even, but it's just sometimes it's a voice that fades in the room. So
yeah.
Yeah. That happens more than you think too. When you go back a few years with Pittsburgh, they had Dan Bilesma, wasn't working. They fired him, hire Mike Sullivan, and they go on to win a couple cups. Like the new voice, I think definitely would help, and especially for Ottawa.
Yeah. So other than that, it's been a busy week in terms of injuries in the NHL as well too. We've got some superstars that go down this week, including Kyle Connor out 6 to 8 weeks. So that's going to be a big loss for the Jets, who are currently in a playoff spot, holding on to that third spot in the division in the Central. And then Dylan Larkin out as well. So we'll get into that right now. What was your thoughts on the collision, Rory?
The Larkin one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely not like the outcome was way more severe than what like the hit by Joseph was. I still don't know if he went out because of the hit by Joseph or when he hit Kelly after. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. Like, he does get hit in the neck / like back of the head initially, but it's not like he hit his shoulder first, so it wasn't a clear shot. And even when he falls into Kelly, it's not like a crazy collision. It doesn't look like his neck twists any like severe like or like scary way or anything like that. But you could tell that he's out before he hits the ice. So it was one of those two contact points.
Yeah.
But yeah,
were you outraged at all in like the heat of the moment? Like, were you pissed off that you see your captain kind of laying on the ice, or were you kind of that's just a free hockey play kind of thing?
No, because it was like, yeah, just like that, a free hockey play. I didn't really even notice it until after, like the puck goes in the corner, and then you just notice that there's this player not moving on the ice, and it was actually like really scary because usually, hockey players, they're moving, they're trying to get back to their feet, get back to the bench, but when you see a player who's not even like his skate's not even moving, it's like, and he was laying like that for a good 30 seconds, so it was like actually really scary as to what might have actually happened to him there. So
yeah,
no okay. Like outrage, because I was texting with another Wings fan who's like, that didn't look serious at all. Like, it's more concerning. Like, the outcome's pretty concerning considering how he was hit. So
right, it was just kind of like a shove in the back and then an unfortunate kind of collision.
Yeah, and Larkin has had surgery on his neck because he took a cross check in the neck from Jamie Benn a few years ago.
Yep.
And so you think like, okay, if this is related at all, that's a pretty serious thing to re-injure. But I know that like a lot of Wings fans were outraged because Joseph hit him from behind a few years ago, but it's like, mm-hmm. I don't think he even realized who he was hitting mm-hmm. in that second. So no, there's no like, I'm not
intent there or anything that was kind of.
I'm not angry. I'm not angry at your Sens, folks. Don't worry about that.
I hope you can be angry at them for them kicking your butt on that game, but
Okay, well, we can get into the point that they had 8 forwards.
Yeah, yeah. It was
But yeah,
for
that
some
game was
reason they
pretty
always
much.
do well against the Wings this year. I feel like I don't
They
know.
do. They really do. The Wings struggle against the Atlantic as a whole. It's pretty tough,
Yeah,
but yeah, that was. I just hope that he's all right, and just hopefully he could even like hear what happened. Like they put him on IR, but they didn't say what the. They said test results came back negative, so that's a good sign. But still, don't really have any idea what happened or why it happened. So I'm just hoping we could hear that, and hopefully it was more of a fluke than re-aggravating an injury.
yeah. So
What are your thoughts on the suspension?
oof.
I get Perron, like I get his thought process in that moment, but you can't just like go right for the head like that. Like that was crazy. Like I get he's going after Zub because it looks like he did it when Perron turns around. Like so you're going to defend your captain, but the way he went about it was just crazy. And you even see Zub like pointing at Larkin and looking at the ref,
He's like
trying to get
calling
his
for the
attention to call the
trainers.
play.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so Perron, like, yeah, just had his wires crossed and just was out for blood, seeing his captain down. And yeah, like I get it. I get the 6 games. I don't know
I
if he's a
could even
repeat.
got more. He could have got 8 games if you ask
Is
me.
he a repeat offender? Like, I don't know. He hasn't been suspended in years,
Hmm.
if he has been at all. I didn't really know what to expect, but like,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
that
the
makes sense.
intent. Just
If it hit
like
his shoulder first and then rode up, then it'd be like, okay,
yeah,
maybe not 6, but that was right off. That was like right off the dome. So I
yeah,
think you gotta do it.
yeah. That was lucky that Zub's not out. To be honest, he's had a little bit of a concussion history last year, so that would have been brutal. But I think 6 games was more than fair for that kind of. If you don't know what's going on, you can't just like go at a guy like that, like
I was
without
gonna say
even
that
having a
it's.
clue of what happened.
I hate that when something happens and then a guy turns around and he sees 3 guys there and he's like, "Well, I didn't see what happened, but it's got to be one of you." So I'm just gonna like. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm all for standing up for your teammate in that situation, but when there's a time and like you got to do it if it's an appropriate play for it. If the guy's just like and also too you got to be careful if he's out unconscious on the ice. Why are you trying to fight him like right over top of his corpse that's laying on the ice? Like it's
Yeah,
just you got to be careful in that sense. He could have a neck injury. Like wasn't a like he didn't see it, so he just assumes, and then that was deserving of the suspension. So,
That
they're in
reminded me
trouble
of
now.
That
hmm
reminded me of when Shifley. Do you guys remember when Shifley hit? I think it was Jake Evans in the playoffs, and then there was like a
Oh yeah,
huge fight afterwards, and he's laying on the ice, and people are
yeah,
trying to shield him away because he obviously wasn't moving and wasn't conscious. Like
hmm
those are scary.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So the Wings will be in tough now. They're
They are in one right
yeah,
now. They lost Comfer and then Larkin and Perron that game, so they're pretty short, and they're all on. Well, the other 2 are on IR right now, so
yeah,
yeah, they're really testing their depth now. So in a big game against Carolina tomorrow, that's yeah. I don't know. I'm not expecting a whole lot out of them here for a little bit until we get some more clarity on those injuries.
hmm Oh, I was so disappointed the Sens lost to Carolina last night. That was just Carolina's. It was on a 4-game losing streak. They had a closed door meeting over the weekend, players only, and then they come into Ottawa and just dismantle them in the second period. It's tied 1-1 at the end of the first, and nobody scores in the third. Second period, again. Shocker. Big shocker. So, anyways, moving on to the NHL draft. It's going to be held in Toronto this year. The NHL All-Star draft is back. Sorry, did I say the NHL All-Star draft? I meant to say moving on to the All-Star game, which is held in Toronto this year, and they're going to be having a draft for that game, which is going to be super exciting. As we all remember the famous clip of Phil Kessel getting picked last. Any
And
Leafs
Ovi
gonna
taking the picture of him.
any Leafs gonna get picked last this year or what?
No, they'll be the first ones off the board.
The hometown bias, maybe. Yeah.
That might be
We'll
the
see.
most exciting part of All-Star Weekend.
Oh, I loved that draft when they had it. It's just like it's like you think the players care if they're the last person picked for an All-Star game? Hell no. There's the All-Star game. They're still an All-Star, and
I
it's
wish they would like
oh
get together and decide they're gonna pick McDavid last. Just leave him there the whole time.
yeah, yeah. I'm curious to see who it would be this year. Maybe somebody from like I don't know. It's tough to say. Like it's who knows. Maybe somebody from Arizona or San Jose. Whoever's from San Jose can be picked last. Yeah.
So I was looking at it today, and they're doing the same process basically as previous years, where one player from each team gets picked, and then I think there's another 12 players that go to a fan vote. So once that's established, then we can run through the list of players and see who we think will be picked last.
Interesting. I wonder if it's because typically when it's in a city, the All-Star game's in a city that's hosting, they'll have more players go to the event. So I'm curious to see how many Leafs actually get to go this year. I'm assuming 3, if not 4, which will be like maybe you'll have Nylander there, you'll have Marner there, you'll have probably Matthews there, maybe Tavares as well.
Yeah, I think because they still throw fan votes for the extra players, so obviously, yeah, the fans of that city are more inclined to vote, right? So people from
I love
Toronto
it.
are going to be all over that.
I know you do. You know what else you probably love? Was that McCabe hit last night.
Oh my, that was unreal. Unreal. And it was I loved how you see like we were just talking about the players coming to like their teammates' defense. And then Lindgren gets blown up, and then you see Zibanejad skate in, and McCabe's like, "Sure, let's do this." Like Zibanejad wanted no part of it, but it's like if you're gonna skate in that quick at him and then just decide, "No, okay, I'm not. I'm just here to like, what are you here to do? You're not gonna like, you're not really sticking up for him." And then somehow,
his gloves are attached to his jersey. They don't come off ever.
Yeah, but the Leafs come out with a power play. I don't really know if I agree with that one, but it's just funny to see the superstars come in and then they're like, no, okay, I'm not fighting Jake McCabe.
Just wanted to stir the pot a little bit.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful hit. Keep your head up, Lindgren. Dropping the puck like that, and then, like, you are never told to drop pass and then, like, turn and watch your drop pass after you do it. That's just... And a beautiful hit, like right shoulder to the chest. Oh, that was one of the top hits of the year for sure. That's making the Don Cherry Rock'em Sock'em videos. Yeah.
That's crazy that he dropped Lindgren. Like Lindgren's a big body too, and just tossed him to the ice like he was nothing. So I just searched that hit up before this because I hadn't seen it yet. And so McCabe was also the one who hit Line A few years ago when he was on Buffalo. Do you remember that one? When Line A was just floating at center ice for a second. Yeah, McCabe can. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great contract on him too. He's got another year left after this year at $2 million per season. That's a beautiful contract for a guy that like can just be that solid in his own end, bit of a veteran. He's by no means like slowing down like how or catching the injury bug with old age. He's still only 30. Like that's a great contract for him. So he'll be a big piece that's coming back on D next year.
And somebody they need obviously right now too, because we know obviously what happened with Klingberg. Liljegren's not playing with all these Jake Muzzin. Obviously, Mark Giordano's not playing. Like all these Leafs defensemen going down, he's the guy you need, and the fact that it's pretty good value for his contract is huge, and will probably help them come trade deadline when they want to move some pieces in.
Like they've looked really good. I'm still not sold on them yet as a playoff contender. I'm not sold on it. I find the ways that they have been winning has just been, like scraping by in shootouts and then celebrating like they just won 5-1 against the team.
Oh my God! Come on,
I don't know.
They're good. They're getting points. They're even like if they're losing in a shootout or losing in overtime, they're getting there in the last second because they're getting the point. They shouldn't have got anything, and then they get there because of their hard work and determination.
Oh yeah, we'll call it that.
But like we were talking about this before, and if you look at regulation losses, they're second in the NHL in the least amount of regulation losses. Like that means something too. Everyone's talking about they're not winning in regulation.
Right.
Well, they're not losing in regulation either. So when they
That's
lose,
true.
they still get a point.
Yeah. Like they're beating the teams they should beat, which is a good thing. And then it's just like they beat Florida the other day 2-1 in a shootout. Okay, they lost to Boston that one game about a week ago, right?
They got a point.
They got a point. They did get a point. It was in overtime. All right, but it's just like I feel like I'm not sold on
We talked
it.
about this too. Last night they go to MSG, second half of a back-to-back against Igor Shesterkin, and they light him up. Come on, you can say they did. It's all right.
That must have been a good feeling, eh? Hammering the
Yeah,
net like that.
it didn't feel as good when I know Shesterkin's actually struggled in his last few, but still, you go to MSG on the second half of a back-to-back. You score that many.
Sens lit him up. Sens lit him up last week too. So they, but no, I like give credit. Leafs they've been winning the games and they're putting themselves into a playoff position, which like that's huge considering all of the injuries they've had and the fact that like Wall is injured. That's just like to me that says a lot. It does say they got some character with them. But
Sounds like you're changing your tune a little bit.
No. In terms of like how they match up in the playoffs, they're going down first round to Florida.
Oh.
They're going down. Florida's going to dismantle them in 4 games. 4 games again this year. Or 5 like it was last year. It'll be 4 this year, though.
They're getting in the playoffs. That's something the Sens will not be doing. So
yeah.
it's all right.
Not with DJ Smith as their head coach. That's surely a guarantee. So, Tavares too with the Leafs. He's been buzzing. He's got him on my fantasy team. He's hit 1,000 points the other night. He's been playing great. It's good to see him back to kind of like he was always a solid point per game player, but he's been leading a lot this year, which is good. And overall, so Leafs have been rolling. Bruins are still first place in the Atlantic, followed by Florida and then Toronto. So
that is such a hockey narrative that plays out. Needs 2 points to get 1,000, and of course he does it in New York, in the island. Like that seems to happen so often. Just little stories like that.
Yeah. So it is funny how that happens. Or it's like even like things like it's his birthday, and then he scores on his birthday. It doesn't matter who it is. If he hadn't scored in 400 days, it'll be his birthday, and he's going to score a goal that game.
Coach has their first game against the last team that he coached, and it's a 6-1 game.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that always happens.
Yeah. Maybe
it's funny too. Like I love watching I know the Islanders fans were sour about him leaving or whatever, but I thought they were gonna at least. It was like all booze still. They're like, after he scored and it goes to overtime, gets 1,000 points, and they're announcing it like, congratulations for 1,000 points, the NHL. And then he's just like still getting booed the entire time. Not like, I couldn't believe it. I don't know.
That's tough.
They're never going to get over it.
That's tough. Yeah. Oh, man. No love for him. I know they left it on bad terms, but still, yeah. For all he did for that team, it is surprising to see, but hey, those New Yorkers, they don't forget, so yeah.
Well, looping back, I had a question for you guys with the All-Star game. I saw that for the skills competition, they're trying to incentivize it to make the players try a little harder this year. Because I think the most obvious one is the fastest skater, right? You could tell that they're not they're not trying their hardest out there. They're taking it easy, especially around the corners, so that they don't wipe out.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a $1 million prize pool they have a point system in place for each challenge. They have $1 million on the line for who wins. Do you think that's going to get them to actually try to win?
Yes. I think they love the money. I think honestly though, if we're talking fastest skater too, this might be a bit of a hot take as well, but like let them wear helmets. Like I know it's not like great for the publicity and you can't see their faces as well, and it's the All-Star game. They want their hair blown in the wind, but like put a helmet on him, and I feel like feels a lot more comfortable than going around those corners. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe from speaking from like personal experience a little too much, but I feel like if they were wearing helmets, they'd feel comfortable going around those corners at the top speed possible. So
They should do 10 laps instead of 1. That'd make it a little more interesting.
yeah.
Put Gregor in the fastest skater.
Man, he can fly. Seriously, I don't know if he was the greatest fit with Matthews and Marner the other night or Nylander, but he can skate pretty quick. That's for sure.
Yeah. As long as they don't let them do a skating start like they did with Larkin that one year, I'll be fine with it. I can't believe that even happened that year. I don't know how that was allowed.
He holds the record.
Yeah, they actually need to just erase that from the record. Like that's ridiculous.
Hey,
that's even on there.
Just like with the Tampa Bay Cups, there's just an asterisk beside it, but it's still there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, I'm pumped for the All-Star game this year. I think in terms of like incentivizing it with some cash, that's a smart thing to do. Like you see even like guys, because like some of them might be going, and like let's say Bedard goes, he's going to be on a rookie contract. You tell me he's not going to be looking for a little bit extra cash? Like some guys obviously have enough money, but even then, like you see it with the NBA too, with the in-season tournament, with the cash pool prizes that they have. Like guys tried their best in that and upped the kind of quality of things. So I think similar outcomes could happen with the All-Star game this year.
I hope so. I mean, now I think back on it, I think it's kind of obvious, but I know that they did the same thing with the All-Star game where the winning team got $1 million, but that's a little different, I guess, when you're splitting it amongst a lot of players. Like you're probably not you're not as incentivized as, I guess it's just you on your own.
Yeah. So
would you guys ever go see an All-Star game? I know it's easy to say 'cause it's in Toronto. It's a little closer this year, but is that something you guys would want to do?
I would definitely go see an All-Star game if it was close by. That's what I would be interested in that. Yeah.
So I know that
get some boots on the ground.
Yeah, boots on the ground. But you're away for it this year, right?
Yes, I believe so. Unfortunately, so I was looking forward to it, but
yeah, I remember you made that birthday request a little earlier.
You guys will have to go there without me.
Yeah,
represent. So that'll be good. No, it'll be a good year this year for it, I think. So it's like the All-Star game format's going to be a little different. 8 events this year. What 8 events are they? I think they got the fastest skater. They always have accuracy shooting.
Hardest shot. And then they have a one-timer challenge, and then passing, and something else. I get how you gotta tweak it for kids, make it more appealing for kids, but I feel like they just don't actually test their skill, like the player's skill, enough.
Yeah.
They can do most consecutive Michigans performed in 10 pucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some actual puck skills or something instead of like last year them shooting it at surfboards.
Well, I even remember when they did like the stick handling relay race. Like that was good stuff. But last year, that stuff that they tried last year was one of the worst All-Star games I had ever seen. It was embarrassing how bad it was with the surfboards and the pre-recorded whatever that was. Like, oh my gosh, like that was just
them on the golf course.
Oh, yeah, that was
brutal,
terrible. That was so cringy to watch. Like,
That's a good point, folks. Yeah, like the little relay race that they had with
Oh,
stick handling between the pucks, and they had to saucer it
yeah,
over like the stick and then into into the mini nets and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
little relay race. Like that's always fun to watch, and it's oh yeah, that was bad last year in Florida. They missed the mark on that one.
oh yeah.
That was bad. Yeah. So Toronto will get it right this year, hopefully. That'll be good. That'll be good. Good stuff. Alrighty, boys. So that kind of basically wraps up what we wanted to chat about. Did you guys want to make a little parlay for tomorrow night?
You'll hate this one, folks, but I feel like for the narrative, I think the coaches bet. The coaches bet tomorrow night. All the new coaches
Mm.
hitting those teams.
So the Blues home, the Wild at home.
They're against the Sens.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Wild against the
I'm
Flames.
certainly not betting money on the Sens right now with the way they've been playing.
Yeah,
So
that's fair. And then Oilers against the Lightning, the three new coaches.
yeah. Hey, I like that. I like that one. Oilers, Wild, and the Blues. So in terms of the Sens, they go on a huge road trip right now. Whoever did the NHL scheduling absolutely hates the Sens because they're making them do the next
before.
6 games on the road, and the 6 games they're going to is just like let me pull it up here for a second. The 6 games that they have, they're going on the road to St. Louis, then they're going to a back-to-back against Dallas. Then on Sunday, they got to travel even further out west, go play Vegas, all right? Then Arizona, and then they got to go up to Colorado, all right? And then they come back home in a span of a week and a half. I can't believe that schedule. And then they play the Leafs again on Wednesday, December 27th after Christmas. Looking forward to that one. A little bit of redemption. That'll be good.
I don't know. I don't see it happening.
I think well, the Sens will probably be on a 5-game losing streak at that point. So with this, they struggle on these Western road trips. This one's coming up. Is going to be. This could probably be the end of DJ Smith. If I had to make a hunch about it, I could say this is possibly the end if they drop these games. But at the same time, they don't want to fire him because they don't want to ruffle feathers. The new GM in there, the interim GM, doesn't want to come in. He doesn't want to, make a massive change.
That shouldn't even be a thing. You're in the NHL. You got to win. Get rid of him. If he's
I
not doing
agree.
the job.
I agree. And there's plenty of coaches that are just sitting around right now waiting for the call. Craig Berube. There we go. Boudreaux.
He's been waiting 20 minutes, but he wants another job.
Get him on the line. Seriously, though, get an experienced guy like that. There's Jay Woodcroft as well, too. Tons of options. So I agree, no excuse, and maybe a fresh voice to try and save the season. But I could see us dropping some games and then just waiting until the end of the year to make a coaching change when DJ Smith's contract's up. Then we can bring in brand new coaching staff and say we're starting fresh and do it all over again next year. And overhype ourselves again, but no, I think too this year Ottawa's seeing the value of losing Shabbat to the injury. We can see now what he meant to this team playing that many minutes. They're trying to make up for it, but I mean they're still right around 500, so by no means is the season over. I mean if they do well on this Western road trip, then we're right back into a good spot, games in hand. But we got to see that happen before we can start to celebrate here.
They still need more out of Chikrin. He was putting up a lot of points in Arizona. Now he comes to a better team in Ottawa, and it's not working for him, and they need more out of him.
He's struggled a little bit defensively too. I've found a guy who I was really good defensively last year at the end of the year was a rock. At times he'll look really good defensively, and then at times it's what are you doing out there? So it's got to find some consistency, and just if there's a way that we could play the first and the third periods only of a hockey game, that would be best case scenario, because anytime they have to play a second period, it's just awful. So
40-minute games for the Sens.
Yeah, we'd be like 23-0 right now if that was the case. Yeah. So it's been tough. It's been tough. So they can still figure it out though. It's not over yet for anyone. They're still right around 500, which is good. So we'll see.
Down
So
there with
you're
San Jose.
You're you're the betting pro. What are you looking at for tomorrow? Who do you like?
Do I wouldn't mind a little Vancouver somehow the underdog at home against the Panthers. I like the odds of that game, so I'd touch that. Maybe like a Vancouver money line at home, and then you could parlay that with with the Leafs. You could parlay it with the Leafs, and then do Leafs. I like them at home against Columbus. It's just the odds. Maybe do like a Leafs puck line. Maybe not because of how many games they go into a shootout in. So maybe not a puck line.
Yeah, that's a little.
But I would say I'm interested in seeing what Washington can do against Philly. I know Philly's favorited right now, but that's like a Metro matchup there. Philly's home. Washington's a solid team. Philly's still solid, but it's I wouldn't mind like a little underdog parlay of maybe Washington and Vancouver, but Philly's been rolling, so it's tough to say. I'll go. I'll go with I like Vancouver. We'll go Vancouver money line, and we'll say we could go Canes money line too, as well against Detroit. There we go. I like those ones. There's a couple bets for you. Canes money line and Vancouver money line.
To top things off. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you were saying yourself, Wings are in tough right now with all their injuries. So
I like the over. I like the over in that one. The Wings have allowed 4 goals in each of their last 4 games.
There we go.
But somehow they're still scoring a lot, other than against the Sens. So.
Yeah, I don't know how either. So, all right. Anyways, boys, I think that's it. That's all for today.
If you guys were curious, just one more thing. McTavish is not in the lineup tonight, so made the right choice picking up the Tendy.
Nice. Were you saying something that the Anaheim doesn't have like
they don't have a beat writer.
Yeah.
Like somebody who follows their
we were
team,
talking
right?
about this.
Yeah.
It's tough to talk about, like, to compare it to other teams, but a team like Toronto, I feel like there's so many all the time, and you can find stuff, like, so quickly on who's in the lineup, who's out, the injuries and everything. But today we were just talking about McTavish has been out, and then day to day. I want to know if he's playing tonight. And no matter where you go on Twitter or anywhere you look, there's nothing about the Ducks. They just don't have anybody that writes for them, and it's funny when you think about it, how it's so different in other cities. And they're just like, Anaheim is just not I know they've got their fans and they've had good teams, obviously. They've won cups, but, like, it's just not the same.
Yeah. It's just Paul Correa writing tweets from his basement.
Well, they could use that right now.
That's all it is. That's their Bruce Garriott. That's who the Sens have, right? Every team's got one. Every team's got a guy who follows the team and does press releases,
everyone.
But
I wonder if it is purely an attraction standpoint. Like, they just can't get enough eyes on the media from the Ducks side for them to be able to pay somebody like that. I don't know. I feel like it can't be just that.
Yeah, like, do you think if you were to be Anaheim and you're to offer, like, a job to, like, Elliot Friedman, he just goes and just works for the Anaheim Ducks, do you think that would help them at all, or he would just kind of eventually slowly fade out because nobody's looking at what he's writing because it's for the Anaheim Ducks?
Must be that, yeah.
Might create some Ducks fans, honestly.
Yeah,
maybe that would be the case. I don't know.
Yeah, they've been good this year too. Well, okay, they've been all right. So
they're in a wild card, no?
They are.
Just outside?
No, they're not in a wild card now. They've dropped like 9 of their last 10. They were though. They were. They've
So-
skidded hard.
Speaking of the Yotes, in our fantasy group, I realized that Vamelka is not playing for them, and I've
Okay.
had him in my goalie position for the
Ooh.
entire season.
Yeah, it's been
So-
Ingram that's been leading the way for him.
Just gonna ask. I don't even know who's playing goalie for
Yeah.
the Yotes, so I gotta go sub him out.
Yeah. The Yotes are just outside a wild card. They're close.
Okay,
The Ducks are not. The Ducks are not close.
clearly have not been paying attention to the goalie position on that team.
Yeah. Need some. I had Kyle Connor, so that's a tough blow for
Ooh,
my fantasy
Yeah.
team and for the Jets, obviously. So
I
yeah.
don't even want to talk about fantasy, fellas. Just gets me angry.
yeah,
Well,
you lose.
speaking of
You if your
wild card-
team could find a way to lose by 1 point every week, that's like 2 shots. They just need a couple more shots every week. Tell them to shoot
Yeah,
more.
Dunner, I don't know if you're watching, but I'm sure you'll put up 300. I'll put up 299, and you'll take the win.
Yeah. Death, taxes, and Kijo losing in fantasy by 1 point. Those things are certain in life. So,
Terrible.
yeah. Alrighty, boys. We'll wrap up for today. You guys have anything else you want to add?
We covered a lot there. I feel like
Yeah.
there was a lot that happened this last week.
Yeah, it was good. So, overall, it's, any surprises? I guess we'll end off with a surprise. Any surprises for this year for you? Like, one biggest surprise for you this year?
It's a tough one.
Ooh, on the spot like that.
I know. I'm just trying to look at teams and think still for me, like, Vancouver being as good as they are, I know they've kind of tailed off a little bit, but they're still in a playoff spot. They've been a bit of a surprise this year.
Mine
So-
would be the entire Metro standings.
Yeah, I was
aside
honestly
from
going to
the
say the same
Rangers.
thing.
Yeah, just being completely inverted
Yeah.
from what we expected.
Yeah.
Right now, the Hurricanes, the Lightning, the Devils, and the Penguins are all not in a playoff spot.
Yeah. I can't believe Philly in a playoff spot. And even the Islanders have
Philly
been
and the
solid.
Islanders. Yeah, that's crazy.
Just shocking.
And
Yeah.
then Washington in that first wild
Yeah.
card, or in the second wild card,
Yeah.
Detroit. So yeah,
And just
It's,
and even in the Atlantic too, you get Buffalo down near the bottom, and that's a team who everybody thought was taking a step forward this year, making the playoffs, and Ottawa a little surprising as well, being that low, having teams like Montreal ahead of them, that's just it's surprising. So we'll stay tuned for some more action and see what kind of movement we have, if there's going to be any in the standings, and go over any other topics that come up in the near future. So
is that your surprise, folks?
what's
The
that?
Sens.
I am surprised a little bit. It's not my biggest surprise though, because part of me could have foreseen that coming, but the other part of me just didn't want to believe it, and here we are with them.
I'm
being
staying
at
quiet
the
over
bottom.
here. I'm not going to say a word.
Hey, they've done this to themselves. They put them in a place now where it's they just need a change in scenery. I think it doesn't help too when at the start of the year we're making these predictions and we're banking on Shane Pinto, who by the way is going to be back in action early January for the Senators. That will help. But Shane Pinto, expecting him to be in the lineup. You're expecting Ridley Gregg to be healthy. He's been hurt. You're expecting Shabbat to be healthy. He's been hurt. So injuries don't help.
Sign
But
Pinto to a contract.
they do, yeah. But chances are he's just going to sign his qualifying offer, just because of
He
the
has
fact
to
that
now.
it's
He doesn't do
yeah,
this now. Yeah.
exactly. He doesn't have much ground to stand on right now. So
It'll be frustrating too, because they'll probably have an unbelievable March. They'll lose 1 or 2 games, but the hole they dug themselves will be too deep, just like they did last year.
yeah. So it is too bad. That's why I'm saying these are big. This road trip coming up for them is huge. They can't let this dig themselves into a deep hole. We at least got to go 500 on this trip, at least. So 6 games on the road, and 3-3 should be what we're hoping for. That would be ideal. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll stay tuned to all the action, and yeah, we'll be on again next Wednesday, and then the following week's going to be Christmas, so we won't have an episode on the 27th. We'll be off for Christmas break, and then we'll be back again the following week. So, yeah, any final comments?
Looking forward to another week of hockey.
Yeah, let's keep her rolling. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you again next week.